There's only 2 more episodes left now, Andrew.
We're back, Jeremy, and there's 2 episodes left. We're almost done. What are we going to do with our lives once we've finished this?
I don't know. WandaVision's been my whole life, I think, right now.
it's it's been a thing. It's been my Saturday mornings, that's for sure.
It's been my Fridays, for sure. Oh, but man, yeah, we have 2 episodes left now. We're going to be talking about episode 7 today, so let's hop into it. There was a lot that happened in this episode. A lot.
A whole lot of stuff. Yeah.
So we're going to hit the big things. First off, it's just the intro this week was very much similar to a lot of the mockumentaries that we've had out there in the 2010s. It had music similar to The Office. It had intros similar to Modern Family and Happy Endings. So if you've seen any of those, this would have been familiar to you. But it was very much in the vein of a mockumentary, this episode, where people are talking to a camera like someone's recording their life. And so it was very interesting in that aspect, because we did jump to the 2010s with that kind of medium of sitcom that exists in our life still today. But, man, Scarlet Witch, Wanda, very depressed in this episode. And living out in that way. Vision's nowhere to be found in the house. She's on her own just with the kids. Things are freaking out in the house. Things are converting to different generations of the different shows that have been on. And it's just craziness. Wanda is so depressed and just wants to be on her own. When Agnes shows up to the house, she just offers to take the twins away because they just want to keep on asking Wanda questions. And she agrees to it. And while Wanda's on her own, that's when a lot more of the freaking out happens within the house. TV's going to old-style TV. Lamps are changing. Wallpaper's changing. Everything. And Wanda's just at a loss of what's wrong and what's going on. In the meantime, Agnes has the kids at the house, just entertaining them, trying to comfort them in some capacity. And that's basically what happens all with Wanda. From the beginning to some point in the end. Vision eventually wakes up and is in the midst of the circus area where all the sword people were changed into circus people, and they all think they have acts they need to put on, and Vision's the only one that's aware of what happened the night before, where he collapsed on the ground and all the sword people were there, and he finds Darcy, who he recognizes because they met. I had eye contact when he was dying and asking for help, and Darcy thinks she is a amazing escape artist and as being under the influence of Wanda. So eventually Vision wakes her up and they start having interactions. And Vision basically just explodes on her, asking every question he has, which Darcy doesn't have a lot of answers for. And so they escape in a funnel cake car away from the circus and are trying to make their way back to Vision's house. And they keep on getting impeded at stoplights, construction, crossing guards, all these things. And Vision just assumes that Wanda's trying to keep him from coming home. And he eventually decides to fly off. And because he's like, why am I staying here talking to the camera, talking to whoever? I can fly. And he jets off. And that's all we see from Vision. Not a lot happened with Vision in this one, just a lot of conversation with Darcy. So the other big thing that happened was in the modern world, in our day, with Sword and Monica. Sword, Detective Haywood, still trying to do whatever sketchy thing he's trying to do and stop what Wanda's doing and get Vision back. And Monica meets up with her aerospace engineer friend, which to everyone's dissatisfaction was not anybody important, no one that we knew, and no big name. But the big thing that happened with Monica then is they bring in this spaceship, not ship, a space vehicle that should be able to, space rover that should be able to withstand all the things that are happening with the Hex. And Monica puts on this suit, drives towards the Hex, and it doesn't work. So Monica decides to go in on herself, and this is her third time going through the Hex, and it activates whatever's been going on her the molecular level to where now Monica has some kind of abilities. So at least we know from her eyes turning blue and she can see things differently in the world, and that eventually fades off and she runs off to get to where Wanda's at. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Basically, Monica comes to Wanda's house, is trying to have a conversation with her. Wanda wants nothing to do with her, is arguing with her and arguing with her. Wanda tries to use her abilities on her, which triggers Monica's new abilities. Don't quite understand all the capabilities of it yet, but is able to kind of ward off Wanda's abilities. And they start having more of a conversation outside. And it seems like Monica's going to break through, but then Agnes shows up and basically says, Monica, you don't belong here. Leave her alone. She's been through enough. And Wanda snaps out of the trance of maybe actually conversing with Monica and goes along with Agnes and tells Monica, go away so I don't hurt you or don't kill you, basically. And so Agnes takes Wanda back to her house, and they go in, and Wanda's starting, it looks like, to speculate something's up because she looks around and doesn't see her boys anywhere. So she asks Agnes, where are the twins? And she says, oh, they're probably in the basement playing. And so they go to Wanda goes down to the basement, and it's very sketchy, very odd looking. There's a book with some mysticalness coming off of it and other things. So she doesn't see the boys anywhere. And then Agnes shows up, closes the door using magic, by the way, and reveals that everything that's been weird, that's been going on in the world that Wanda couldn't explain, Agnes has been behind it, and that her actual name is Agatha Harkness. And it does this whole montage. Plot twist. It does this whole segment of showing like different intros of where Agatha now was showing how she was behind all the weird things, and does this whole segment of showing all those things, just a montage of clips. And then from there, it ends with Wanda still in the basement with Agatha, was Agnes, now Agatha. And that's where the episode ends until, for the first time, we have an end credit scene. Post credits. And it shows Monica exploring around the house, and she goes to go into the basement from the outside. I couldn't tell if it was the basement of Agnes or actually Wanda's basement. I couldn't tell whose house it was.
I couldn't tell either.
But as she opens it up, it cuts to a camera inside the basement. Like, you don't see a camera, but a shot from the basement. And lo and behold, who shows up next to Monica? It is Pietro in a very stoner-like outfit. And then we end from there. So, Andrew, a lot happened here. What were your thoughts?
What happened? My thoughts, this kind of ties in with the fan theories that we've had, but I was disappointed because this pretty well busted my John Rambo theory. So that was pretty sad. But otherwise, I did really enjoy the episode. It's cool. We finally have, I think, a really clear picture of what's happening, or at least a like 75% clear picture of what's happening. There's still some minor mysteries that I think they're gonna build on more. But it was pretty neat to actually get some confirmation of what's going on. We did sort of predict the Agnes turn, or at least predicted that something more was going to happen with Agnes last time. So that was cool to see that come to fruition. I would agree that it was pretty disappointing to see that Monica's friend was just some person that happened to have a rover. That was a thing that happened. But fun episode overall. Really excited to see where the next two episodes go.
Yeah, from a continuation of the story and just of the movement of the plot, I enjoyed the episode a lot. The tone, though, it was not my favorite. Maybe that's just because like I don't enjoy all of the mockumentary shows out there. Like I watched The Office, Parks and Rec, all of those, and enjoyed those. but it was for this show, it kind of made it have like it almost took you out of the show every time it would cut into one of those. Wanda didn't feel quite like herself because of that. She felt like she was just trying to play like specifically the mother from Modern Family. And then Vision was just not really acting himself either, especially all the progress we've seen with Vision acting more like himself over time. It seemed like a step backwards for him to be partaking in this mockumentary style. And so just from a tone aspect, it wasn't my favorite. But from a story aspect, I enjoyed it a lot. Because everything that happened with Monica, the reveal of Agnes being Agatha Harkness, and just everything going on with Wanda and her dealing with her depression. Like, all of that was very well done, and I enjoyed that story aspect of it. One thing I thought was very interesting was I made the comment to my wife while we were watching it as Wanda was starting to go into the basement. I started to get very big Stranger Things vibes. Just because of all the veiny stuff that was all over the wall. That was purple.
Yeah.
It was all foggy and down in the basement. I was just like, okay, are we going to the upside down now? Is that where we're going to be going? Is that going to be the 2020 theme for the however you say the word I can't
Penultimate.
Penultimate, yes, the penultimate episode.
Penelope.
The penultimate episode. Are we going to have a Stranger Things vibe or not? I don't know. But I thought that was really cool if that was just like their little bit of, because Stranger Things became really big at the end of the 2010s. That was their thing of like, that's our little tribute to Stranger Things, is styling the set a little bit like the upside down world. But I felt things were very much handled well from a story perspective. Very curious now, where do we go from here with 2 more episodes left? Because I mean, this was the right move to make, to do it now, because now you've got 2 episodes to build off of what just happened. But it's also, I thought it was cool from a writing standpoint, because last week they did try to throw everyone off that Agnes may actually be a part of something. And then so it made it to where, while a lot of people were probably guessing that she was involved in some way, because she's always showing up, it did allow that to have a little bit of shock factor still, just because of how last week went with her interaction with Vision. So,
which is funny, because that's what tipped me off more to being like, something smells fishy here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that, like, except for you, like, you really caught on to that her interaction with Vision, she was not acting completely the same as everyone else around in that area. So yeah, it was smart noggin there for Andrew.
I'm on to you, Marvel. I know all your tricks.
So theories. I mean, everything that we've talked about so far has either been busted, because no John Rambo, or
no John Rambo yet.
Yet, or
you never know,
or has been revealed for the most part. The only thing I would say, from my standpoint on the theory, is that it's still the question of, okay, how is Pietro involved?
Yes, I agree.
I made the comment while we were watching, and then it got busted at the end of the episode, that you never in the previous episode 6, saw Agnes or Pietro in the same place at the same time. And so it made me wonder if it's the same character portraying different people, but now with the reveal of Agnes being Agatha and Pietro showing up at the end while Agatha's in the basement with Wanda, kind of made that not possible. So I still have the theory, though, that I wonder if Pietro is not who he says he is and is working with Agatha, or a new theory based off reading some stuff online about the Agatha Harkness character in the comics. Agatha Harkness is actually not a villain in the comics. She is actually someone who helps out the Fantastic Four, and specifically Reed Richards. When Reed Richards is a kid, his parents hire Agatha as a nanny, and she protects Reed Richards from harm that people are trying to do to him as he's growing up. And so in the comics, when Wanda has kids, Agatha shows up, and just unexpectedly, and everyone thought she was dead, but she shows up to help Wanda raising the kids, and also to deal with the fact that her kids just randomly disappear. And so there's that thought that maybe Agatha's actually not bad, and yes, she's been influencing things, but it's all been to help Wanda through her process, and that somebody else is actually still the villain that has not been revealed yet. So that's one theory. It's not my own. I can't claim it. I found it online, sure. But just based off of the comic book history with Agatha, it's just one that makes you wonder, okay, is that going to be the next reveal in the next episode? Is actually she's been helping, and she's actually not a bad person, and because that's been the thing so far. Everyone except for the director have been shown to be. If you think they're bad and they're heading in a bad direction, then they're revealed to be okay. So It makes you just wonder with Agatha as well, if that's the direction that will go. But that's really the only theory I have.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the opposite boat where I think it feels like Agatha is pretty well cemented as the villain for this little bit. It would seem weird to reveal that in episode 6. Or episode 7, I don't remember. But with only 2 episodes left, to reveal someone and be like, they're the villain, and then turn around and be like, oh, actually, they're not. But I don't know how she ties into the larger story. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I've seen some talk that agrees with your Mephisto theory that we've been bringing up, but a few people I have noticed are saying, maybe there's some maybe Mephisto is working with Agatha, and I don't know. My personal theory is maybe he's behind the Pietro if that is the case. But yeah, I think Pietro's going to be sort of key to the whole underlying mystery as we move into these last 2 episodes.
Yeah, because the hard thing with that is that even with Pietro is it showed Agatha controlling him, or whatever, because she was using her abilities when he was standing at the door when back in episode 5. And so it's kind of that's where it goes kind of against of him actually being a mastermind above her or even working with her. But that's the areas of stuff of okay, how much of everything that Agatha touched is actually real and what is not. And that's the stuff where we're still got the mystery involved trying to figure out in these last 2 episodes. But I mean, the one big thing we didn't talk about, of course, was Monica. Man, as a theory, she has abilities now, and knowing that she's going to be in the next Captain Marvel movie, this is her series of this series was made to create her as a potential hero that she's going to be in a lot of things probably from here on out. And so that's been really cool just to see the development of a hero in this. It gives you that feel of with WandaVision of that's just one direct example we have right now of how this is affecting the bigger universe. And so that was really cool to see of just from that, and the theory being for her of she's probably going to become part of the team at some point. Wanda will probably be the one that brings her in, and then from there she'll get to do a lot of cool things. So that was, I forgot to mention that up in our thoughts, but a little bit of theory there. So that wraps up discussion on episode 7. Like we said, there was a lot there. Let us know your thoughts. If there's anything we missed that we didn't mention, let us know in the comments. Let us know your theories for the last 2 episodes, where things going to go, especially now that Vision's flying his way back home. How's that whole interaction going to be? Leave your comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget, hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and if you want to make sure you don't miss these last 2 videos we do on the recap. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you. # John Rambo is coming.
Don't forget, keep an eye on your health bar. Thank you so much for tuning into HitPoint. We hope this refilled your health bar and provided a much needed mental break. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to click the logo that's over my face. Or if you want more content, click here or here.